it's Sharon Luska here from My Crafty Greetings, and we're doing a Scrappy Tales video today. And I found this paper pad, I would say late this fall at Michael's. Some of you might recognize it. And I just wanted to show you that these paper pads have cheat sheets. If you check out these different elements here, you can actually use some of the different elements that are in the pad for making cards, as in card ideas. So these strips here can definitely give you some ideas, and then we have some other cut aparts that will give you some other fabulous ideas. And I wanted to show you how I can take these different pieces here and incorporate them together, and using my dies from Scrappy Tales, how I'm going to go ahead and make some amazing cards. And not a lot of thought put into it. Just take a look at it and see what you can pull together. And if you take a look through the papers, you're going to find that those cut aparts actually will use elements from this paper pad that you can reuse in making the cards yourself. As you can see, that one is right there, and then we have this intense floral paper here. Now you might find some differences, and you can either ignore the differences or you can modify your papers. You can use some die cuts that you have that you think will go with the paper pattern collection that you have, or you can use the papers themselves. And you know what, if there's subtle differences, don't even worry about it. Now, as you know, I love to die cut. I have tons and tons of die cuts that I make on a regular basis to make all my cards. I'm probably much more a die cutter than I am a stamper, and I just wanted to show you, those are my plates that I have used for thousands and thousands of cuts. And that little page that I was flipping over there, I'll show you what that is in my next video. So we are using the Christmas Assorted Leaves die set because we need some leaves for these beautiful flowers, and we're going to use the Whimsical Layering Daisies die set. And I am just using Neenah Solar White, and this is what they look like just in white. Aren't they gorgeous? But we're going to color them up so that they coordinate with this particular pattern paper set. I'm using watercolor today. Of course, I like that because it's fast and easy, and it's no big deal when you're coloring something quickly and roughly. If you have inks, you can smoosh your ink pads and color using inks. You don't need to use a water brush. You can use a regular paintbrush, whatever you've got. This is not super specific. We're just slapping on some quick strokes. And it's okay if you're leaving some white space on the flowers themselves, because if you look in the book, there are kind of multi-tonal flowers. They have lots of different tones and different intensities of yellow and white going on, as well as some other colors that we're going to be mixing together. And I am just basically adding little bits to change the color a tiny bit. This is a little tiny bit of green into that yellow and white mixture that I have there, and a tiny bit of orange also to give it a bit of a different intensity, and just slap it on. Don't worry about it too much. You know, you want to do this quickly because you're going to be doing lots and lots of flowers so that you have a whole stash that you can go ahead and build these cards with, and they will go together so simply and so easily, you will be so surprised. Now we're gonna add a little bit of red and some purple, and we'll add a little tiny bit of brown in there too, or black, and that is going to darken it up so that it has that natural kind of echinacea kind of colored flower. So there's that brown mixed in there. And I'm just going to squeeze it out and get some of it so it's a little more watery here. Now, if you have not subscribed to my channel, I sure would love it if you would. That definitely helps me with YouTube and makes sure that other people get to see my videos too, because if you don't like me, YouTube doesn't believe other people are going to like me. Hit that thumbs up and let them know that it's been a great video, and leave me a comment. I am an absolute jerk when it comes to returning comments, but I got to tell you, I do read them, and it puts a big huge smile on my face, so thank you. I will do all I can though to try and return those calls. So you can see here I'm taking this flat brush, a wedge brush. It's a cheap crappy brush, and you can see that when I stroke it lightly, see it leaves those little lines on the flower petals, and different intensities, different tones are going to leave different layers of lines, and it's all that layering that gives them that really organic kind of natural flower look. And yeah, you can do the same thing yourself. Practice a little bit, you know, pull up your brush when you're kind of stabbing at the base of the petal. Pull up as you're pulling out, and that's going to give you that streakiness. Now I'm back to the pointed brush here, and I've got like a really kind of dirty browny green color here, and I'm just going to be flicking that right in, and that's going to give like a little bit of a shadow so that there is some dimension to these yellow guys here. So if you're not familiar with Scrappy Tails products, I have my links below. I love these flowers because they have a very organic shape to them. They are not like your typical flowers where you have, you know, petals that are all matchy-matchy and even. I find sometimes the matchy-matchy even ones are nice for something that has, you know, kind of structure and shape to it, but when you have something fun and organic like this, you want something that's loosely shaped. So this is the Christmas leaves die set, and yes, it's not Christmas leaves that we're doing, so, but don't you worry about it. These are absolutely the right shapes for everything that you are going to need to make these cards. And I just have a whole slurry here of in my pan of different color greens. I'm going to try and make sure that I've got some light dusty blue greens, that I've got some deep emeraldy greens, and that I've got lots of different colors going on in all the different leaf selections. You can see I've added that dusty bluey green here, so it looks a little bit like juniper. Adding a few little dabs of yellow off the edge here. And you know what, when you're doing watercolor stuff, or even if you're coloring with ink, hey, you can use watercolor or use acrylics if you have them too for doing this. Whatever you've got, just mix them all together. Don't worry about it. You're going to be just fine. Use the very, very tip of your flat, I think these are filbert brushes, and you can strike in some veining on these little leaves here. It gives them just a little bit more detail, and you can see that there is some etch marks that are already in there from the dies. I will have these both die sets listed below from Scrappy Tails, and if you haven't checked Scrappy Tails out before, I sure do recommend that you do. That's a little bit more of a sap green looking leaf there. She has the absolute best supplies, and she is very, very much geared towards making larger dies. So none of this little teeny tiny fiddly stuff. You're going to have nice big stuff where you can fill up a card, and I make 5x7 cards, so filling up a card and having something that's got a sumptuous dimension to it is really, really important to me, and that's what I really love about Sabrina. Sabrina has been a card maker for the better part of her young adult and adult life, and she still is a card maker. And when she makes dies and stamps for Scrappy Tails, her company, she very, very much has the design component of it in mind, like what works for us. So she's not somebody who's designing, oh, we're going to use also some, if you have, what do they call those? Nuvo drops. There you go. Mine are homemade. It's just pigments put in modeling paste. There you go. And I put it into a bottle, and what you want to do with this so they don't run together in a big glob is spread them out, let them dry, and then go back in and fill them out. So these are our leaves here. So anyways, just to finish what I was saying about Sabrina is she knows the laments of what it is to make cards and what we need as card makers, and that's why I love her products so much. So these are pine boughs, and I'm going to turn them into something that looks a little bit more like rosemary. And all I'm doing is taking these needles and I'm just giving the paper a little bit of a bend so that it has a tighter formation, and it'll look really, really cool on the card. And don't worry, once you put some glue behind it, it will stick down and stay sturdy on your card. It's not going to fall apart. There is my sumptuous selection of goodies for these cards. Now I have way more than the cards are going to show you today, so that's why there's going to be a part 2. Be a little patient with me. I just got my setup done here to be able to film in lovely sunny Myrtle Beach, and of course I want to encourage you to go over to 5x7 Card Makers and sign up so that you catch all these 5x7 cards, and hopefully we can encourage the industry to start to give us more 5x7 card supplies. That's on Facebook, 5x7 Card Makers, all one thing. Come and join, it's open for everybody. So this is my first card. I've got a gold oval cut and a white oval in Neonosolarite paper, and I'm just going to be layering these out to use the same design on my little cut apart there. And this is what I'm saying, take a look at your cut aparts. They actually give you a layout for how to go ahead and make a card. Is that not the easiest thing you've ever seen? So grab the cut aparts that you like. If you want to, you can fussy cut some flowers out of the paper or use whatever it is that you have in your stash. Give yourself a gold band around your oval. You can change it up and use a different shape if you like. If you've got circles, do circles, but put some flowers around the outer edge. Get your sentiment in the center there and make yourself a nice little arrangement like I've got here. And you can see how nice all these flowers are and how different it is. You know, I've got the different colors here going on. And then the different shapes of flowers, and we're going to add in the leaves just to fill it out. Now these leaves are a trio of leaves. I like to just pull these little babies apart. They are much easier to use for me as little single leaves than as a cluster in this particular arrangement. And these actually may be from the Assorted Leaves die set. I will mention it below if I have added in something that's not from this set. So here's that rosemary looking thing that used to be the pine frond or the pine bunch, I guess you want to call it. And you can see how nicely that looks tucked in there. And a few other leaves that, you know, they're nondescript leaves. Those actually look like daisy leaves to me. The kind of one that I have in my hand here, it looks like a daisy leaf. And yeah, just lay your layout all together there with whatever leaves you have. Or if you want to get this set, this is a great filler set. It helps you have any type and shape of leaf that you need for whatever flower you want. I used to have a couple sets of leaf dies, and I have to tell you, it is much nicer having a selection of tons of different leaves in one die set. So there is our first card finished. Ba-dum-bum. So hopefully you enjoy that. Now you will notice that I ran the wood grain in a different direction in that, but you can do whatever you want. You do you. So I have some Spellbinders dies here. This is the set that cuts out the little dots in one of the rectangle layers, and then I cut just a regular rectangular gold layer. And I'm feeling particularly wasteful, so I'm not going to cut anything out of the center of that. But I'm going to layer it up, and this is just a cut apart, so don't be afraid. If you got a square cut apart, throw a rectangular die over it. Do not worry. Now I'm going to pop this up with some of my packing foam. I use the ATG on the layer that I want popped up and not wrinkled, and some wet glue, specifically the Multi glue Tombow in the green package. Use that one. Now you could leave it exactly as is, but I do like it very much with the little trio of daisy flowers on the bottom here. It just gives it a really rich, really nice look, and I stole the idea for that trio off of one of the floral strips that was in the card or in the paper pack, the 12x12 paper pack. And simple and easy, high impact. Isn't that a nice gift to give somebody who's gotten a new home? It actually was given to one of my friends who bought a house for my husband. So I think they loved it. I loved it. Anyway, so here's one more cheat sheet. We're going to use this particular cut apart here. Now I do not have a rectangular shaped die that has the corners cut out of it, but I did have a square-ish shaped die that had the corners notched out of it. And if you wanted to, you could cut two layering rectangular sizes and then use a circle die punch. If you, or circle, it's not a die if it's a punch, a circle punch, and just cut the corners off with that. I have this Get Well Soon sentiment here, and I just die cut it out of gold paper. And I'm just using a dollar store tool to pop these out of the die itself. That little comes from Dollar Tree, excellent supply to have. It is great for picking all kinds of little things. And I'm just checking out the layouts that I can do with this. I didn't know if I wanted to lay it this way or wanted to stack it in long style, because once I put the flowers on the top, nobody's going to really know what this is lengthwise. And I did decide that I liked it better going across in 2 lines, and I layered up all the extra pieces, and there you go. There's another cheat. So I will be back with some more use your paper pad cheat sheets and give you some more ideas of how to assemble cards. And I will also show you how to go ahead and save your die cutting plates. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.